un super travail d'un journaliste d'investigation américain, Stu Peters, à propos du faux bidon enfumage réchauffement climatique. Donc la vidéo s'adresse principalement à beaucoup de bisounours, non, beaucoup d'écolos qui ont avalé jusqu'au plus profond de l'intestin le réchauffement climatique, l'enfumage créé par M. Al Gore, milliardaire, ensuite par M. Famille Rothschild, avec la haine qui est ultra Greta Thunberg, hein, etc., etc., etc. Sans oublier, vous qui écoutez et qui allez discuter entre vous, tous ceux qui brandissent ce signe imbécile de XR, on dirait un croisement de chemin de fer en Amérique, qui a été fondé, sponsorisé, manipulé par Soros, qui est un des milliardaires de l'élite du nouvel ordre mondial. Alors bravo les gens, hein, vous suivez ça, bravo. Alors vous allez regarder l'interview qui suit de Stu Peters avec le numéro 1 qui explique la destruction de la planète par l'élite mondiale du homme, hein, ceux qui ont inventé le réchauffement climatique et qui veulent détruire l'humanité, avec le numéro 1, Dan Winnington. Alors vous allez regarder ça et vous allez le partager au max partout. Et parlez entre vous les écolos. Les écolos là, oui il y a pas mal de gogoles chez vous, ça c'est sûr. Parce que pour avaler des trucs comme le réchauffement climatique, faut pas être bien. Hein. Franchement, faut regarder, faut chercher, vous voyez bien que depuis des siècles, il y a des cycles qui se répètent, chaud, froid, etc. Ça va pas chez vous. Par contre, écoutez ce que dit Dan Wigington et le super journaliste d'investigation, Stu Peters. Allez hop, et rejoignez mes chaînes s'il vous plaît.
So climate change, as it's been presented by the political class and all of its minions and government-backed scientists, is completely fake. Yeah, your car and your air conditioner and the lights in your house, they're not causing the world to boil over. They're not causing the sea levels to rise and swallow up the entire American coastline, and they're not causing the world to turn into a ball of fire and kill every one of us like Greta Thunberg would have you to believe. That's because all of this climate change talk that we hear so much about, it's a racket. It's a scam, and it's made people a lot of money. The climate nuts are onto something, kind of. The weather is changing. It's changing because of the geoengineering and weather control and even weather warfare projects that are being funded by governments and militaries all over the world, especially here in the United States. So this has been going on for a long time, and now it's more advanced and more widespread than ever before. Dane Wigington has been tracking weather modification for years over on his website. That's geoengineeringwatch.org. He's presented real-world evidence that in the United States, weather modification is extremely widespread, and it's impacting the entire country. It's been speculated that when Iranian President Ibrahim Raisi was killed several weeks ago in that fatal helicopter crash, that his helicopter actually came under attack by man-made fog, which caused the pilot to lose his field of vision and then crash into the side of that mountain. People in the area around the crash said they had never seen fog like that before, that it just materialized out of nowhere immediately before the incident. So is the United States or Israel or someone else already using modified weather as a weapon of war to assassinate their enemies? Dane Wigington is with us now to discuss this in greater detail. Dane, thank you so much for coming. We appreciate you being here.
Thank you, Stu. Thank you for your voice in this all-important battle to expose what's happening in our skies, and the gravity and immediacy of the threat it poses cannot be overstated. People have no idea how much damage they are doing. And on top of all the weather warfare, destruction of crops, we're all breathing what they're dispersing. And we estimate from precipitation testing, several hundred tests in one state alone, that the global annual dispersion of these nanoparticles, which are extraordinarily harmful to our health, somewhere in the range of 40 to 60 million tons of nanoparticles dispersed annually.
So who is the they that you think is really controlling and manipulating the weather?
Who's the they behind this? They are those who print the money, who control militaries, thus they control countries, they control media, they control all of it. So all roads lead back to those who print the money. They always have. And again, we have countries all over the globe, Stu, either actively or passively participating in these programs. And that includes countries with otherwise adversarial relations, China, Russia, US. And we're not guessing on that. We have Senate documents, 800 pages long, specifically discussing that otherwise countries with otherwise adversarial relations will cooperate on this issue, because you can't just geoengineer over your own country without affecting the entire world. They're all involved with this either actively or passively. We have no idea how much black op money is being dumped into these programs, and all the efforts being made to keep these operations moving forward no matter what. And the funding is not clearly in any normal budget. It's not identified anywhere. But when we know that the Fed can print as much as they want, just like the plane loads of money they carted over to Iraq when that was going on. Again, most Americans don't realize how the system works. I know you do, and many of your listeners do, but they can print whatever they want. So this is black op money. And again, we absolutely have countries all over the world involved. And the climate conferences, Stu, the COP climate conferences, smoke and mirrors, that's all they are. Those conferences are designed to force countries to actively or passively participate in these programs behind closed doors. That's what those climate conferences are about.
Other than manipulating the weather, like on a day-to-day basis, a lot of people think weather manipulation, they can make it sunny, they can make it cloudy, they can make it windy, but they can actually engineer catastrophic natural disasters that are really man-made, not natural. We're talking about hurricanes, the eruption of volcanoes. Is that true?
Absolutely true. Now, let me back into that. In regard to any tectonic seismic activity, we know when you microwave a seismically sensitive region long enough, bad things happen. Let's take the 2011 Fukushima quake. We have institutions like MIT, your listeners can look this up, acknowledging on the record what they called, quote, extremely anomalous atmospheric heating for 3 days directly above the epicenter, and they can't explain it. When you bounce millions of watts of power off a now reflective atmosphere, thanks to the aerosol dispersions, down into a seismically sensitive zone for long enough, something's going to give. So when you have MIT acknowledging that kind of scenario, that should raise eyebrows. This is about power and control, period. And they're just getting started. It's going to get a lot worse.
Is this the stuff that not only changes or manipulates weather, but also poisons the soil where we're trying to grow our fruits and vegetables?
You're exactly correct. We're not guessing again. We know from peer-reviewed study, aluminum nanoparticles causes roots to shut down nutrient uptake. This goes from crops to forests. It's also killing soil microbiome. So as an example of how much material is falling on us, I have the original historical USDA soil baseline studies from our region of Northern California. So much metal has come down in our rain. And again, this is highly bioavailable toxic metal. It's changed soil pH values from 10 to 12 times toward alkaline. Nothing can adapt, nothing can grow in that. Thus, we have massive forest die-off because of the toxification of the soils. Now we have the intense UV radiation because climate engineering is destroying the ozone layer as well. And I want to stress that if we had no other problems but the disintegrating ozone layer, that by itself is a near-term existential threat. So the forest die-off and the epic fires are most directly related to climate intervention operations. Source of ignition on those fires, that's a separate subject. What's setting the template for these fires to burn with such ferocity? And it's about to start happening again. Climate engineering is the core of that. We have science study to prove that we have a science study from the military, Stu, called Wildfires or Forest Fires as a Military Weapon, 140 pages long. The hailstones, the agricultural regions are being wiped out, flash flood, flash freeze, flash drought. That's a new term we have all the time now because these are desiccant particles. They dry out atmospheric relative humidity, so it sucks the moisture out of everything, Stu. This is a weapon of mass destruction, period.
Who's actually carrying out these missions against the American people?
Very, very key question. Compartmentalization. This is a climate engineering Manhattan project. So we have massive compartmentalization going on. Left hand doesn't know what the right hand is doing. I would cite Vietnam. The pilots in Vietnam, were they told that spraying Agent Orange is not only going to kill civilians, it's going to kill their own comrades on the ground? No, they weren't told that. So the bottom line is we have a lot of cover-up going on with that type of compartmentalization. People in our military being told they're doing something benevolent, something for the greater good, which couldn't be further from the truth. So there's many, many layers to this. Again, the gravity of this issue can't be overstated, nor can the size, scope, and scale.
Yeah.